besties, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm filming just a super quick video for you guys. I'm going to be showing you my studio apartment, and then at the end of the video I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to look for an apartment, websites to use to look for an apartment in France, what to look out for, different types of apartments, things like that. So if that is something you're interested in, if you want to see what my apartment looks like, maybe you are looking for an apartment in France, or you have an apartment of similar size and you kind of want to compare the two, or maybe you're just nosy and you want to see what my apartment looks like, then this is a video for you. If you don't care about the studio tour and you just want to get straight to the tips and tricks, the timestamps will be in the description box below, so go ahead and just skip forward to the end. Hi besties, welcome to my apartment tour. So like I said before in a previous video, my studio is really tiny. As you can see, it is 16 meters squared, which comes to around 172 square feet. So it's pretty small, but honestly it works well for me. So I have everything I need here. I have a kitchen. It came fully stocked with dishes, pots, pans, silverware, cups, all that good stuff. I have a little mini refrigerator, I have a stove, I have that little fan thingy that goes at the top of the stove, and then I have a cabinet that has tons of room for food and snacks and whatever else I need. And then here I have my little desk countertop space area. So this is where I sit usually to do work or to eat. And it's right next to the window, so I can open the window, and I'm on the ground floor, so I have this little like patio terrace thing right in front of my door, which is nice. And then over here I have a little chair. I have another cabinet that I just keep all my shoes in. And then on top I got some decoration, a little picture of my host babies. And then I have a TV where I can chill and watch some Netflix. I have Netflix, I have cable TV, I have pretty much anything I could need. And then the bathroom is tiny, but it's brand new. It looks really nice. It's clean. We have the shower, toilet, typical bathroom stuff, you know. And then I have this little ladder thing that goes to, I guess, the second floor, you could say, where I have my bed and my clothes and all that good stuff. And then I just climb up the ladder up to my little bed. And then I have a clothing rack with all my clothes, a pile of clothes that I need to put away. I have my dresser, and as you can see, there's lots of space on the dresser to put stuff. I have like some belts, some bags, some jewelry, sunglasses in the top drawer. And then I have a drawer for jeans, a drawer for pajamas, a drawer for socks. Like, there's plenty of drawer space in here, which is nice. And then I have an outlet on both sides of the bed, which is good for when I want to flip over and charge my phone. And then here I just have a little curtain that I can close if I want to nap during the day and I need darkness. And then in the morning I can open it and get some sunshine in. So yeah, that's okay. Let's get into the real reason why you probably clicked this video. This part of the video is going to be super informal. I'm just holding my camera. I can't be bothered to set up my ring light and do all of that, so we're just gonna have a little sit down chit chat type. Okay, so first thing to think about when you're looking for an apartment is you need to know the different types of apartments in France. There's a few different types of apartments. So you have a studio, you have T1, T2, and T3, T4, and so on. So firstly, you have a studio. So a studio is just like your standard one-room apartment with the bed, the bathroom, the kitchen, all in the same room or the same area. Sometimes, especially in Paris, you'll have a studio with just the bed and sometimes a shower, and then you'll have a common shared bathroom in the hallway and sometimes shared kitchen in the hallway as well. So that's a basic studio. Okay, then you have a T1, which is also a studio, but it's a little bit different. So instead of the kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, everything being in the same room, the kitchen is a little bit separated. So it's still a studio, it's still one big room, but you have a little more space, and the kitchen is kind of separated away from the rest of the bedroom, essentially. So that's T1. T2, which is technically a two-room apartment, would be a living room and then a separate bedroom. In France, sometimes you'll see an apartment that says 2 rooms, but that doesn't necessarily mean 2 bedrooms. So they also count the living room as a room. So that would be like the American equivalent to a standard just 1-bedroom apartment. So that's a T2. And then of course T3 would be the same thing, just 2 bedrooms and then the living room. So 3 rooms in total. That's T3, and then of course it goes up from there, following the same structure. So those are the main types of apartments that you will find in France. So definitely keep that in mind. If you see a listing that says 2 pièces or 2 rooms, it's not actually 2 bedrooms. It's a living room and a bedroom. So the next thing regarding types of apartments there are, so there's furnished apartments and there's unfurnished apartments. So usually the furnished apartments are a little bit more expensive because obviously they're furnished. They come with everything you need. So all you have to do is bring your clothes and you're good to go. And then there's unfurnished apartments, which are usually a little bit cheaper because you have to furnish them yourself. But it is important to know what qualifies as a furnished apartment, because legally there have to be certain pieces of furniture in the apartment for it to technically legally be considered furnished under French law. So I don't have them all off the top of my head. I know you have to have obviously a bed, I think a chair, some type of dresser, a refrigerator, and a few other things. I will leave a list on the screen and in the description box because I can't remember everything off the top of my head. But it is important to make sure if your place is supposed to be furnished, make sure it has each one of those things, because if not, then it's legally technically not furnished and they shouldn't be displaying it as furnished if it's not. So the first thing you should do when you're looking for an apartment is make a list of everything that you want in your apartment. So make a list of your non-negotiables, things that you absolutely have to have in an apartment, like maybe a washing machine, or it has to have a balcony or something like that. And then make another list of things that you would like to have but aren't necessarily deal breakers for you. Also, it's important to know what neighborhoods you want to be in. Do you want to be in a party neighborhood? Do you want to be in a more quiet neighborhood? Which neighborhoods are the best for students or the best for international people or whatever? Definitely do your research on neighborhoods because each neighborhood is different and has a different vibe. So it's important to know beforehand where you're looking, because it makes no sense to look at apartments in the 7th arrondissement if you know you want to live in the 11th. At least have a few different ideas of a few neighborhoods that you would like to live in. It makes things so much easier. Also, obvious one, write down your budget, okay? Apartments in France can be expensive, especially in Paris. So write down your ideal budget and then write down your maximum budget that you absolutely cannot go over. And although it can be tempting to sometimes go visit an apartment that is outside your budget just to see, don't even waste your time. If it's outside of your budget, you know you can't afford it, don't waste your time going to see it. Write down a budget, stick to your budget, and don't get tempted by those beautiful, expensive apartments that you know you can't afford. Also, when you're looking at apartments or looking at listings, it's important to note what charges are included in the rent. So most of the time, all the charges should be included in the rent. So internet, water, gas, electric, whatever. But sometimes in the fine print, they'll say this apartment is 900 euro per month, but then the tenant has to get electricity, internet, water, so that adds up as well. So it's important to definitely speak to the property manager, speak to the real estate agent, whoever is showing you the apartment or the listing, and ask them what charges are included so that you don't have any surprises when you sign the lease and you realize you have to also sign up for all these different utilities as well. Also, make sure the location is decent. For example, if you know you're working in the 11th, you want to live in the 11th or close to the 11th so that you're able to get to work on time, because there are a lot of strikes in France, especially in Paris, and there will be lots of times when the transportation is not running, and so it's essential that you are close enough to where you have to be just in case that happens. Next, we're going to go over some places where you can find apartments and apartment listings. So there are quite a few websites you can use. There's tons of websites that you can use, way more than I can even give you in this video, but I will tell you some of the ones that I know of. There is Studapart. So this one is really common, obviously, for students to find student housing, student residences. There is Se Loger, which is very common as well. This website has apartments for rent. Sometimes they'll have co-locations for rent as well, which is like people looking for roommates or people with just rooms to rent in apartments with other people. But for the most part, I think Se Loger is just for like if you want to rent the whole apartment. Next, we have Vigilant de Confiance. This is an app that you can list lots of things. You can list things for sale. You can list apartments for rent, whatever. But this app, you have to be referred. You have to be kind of invited to. So you can download the app, but you can't use it until you're referred by 2 people who already have the app. So this app is really good for finding apartments because since you have to be referred, it gives people kind of like, they trust you a little bit more, and it's easier to find apartments and things like this from this app because you have to go through this like verification process in a sense. Next, we have Paris Stay and Paris Attitude. I personally haven't used these, but I do have a good friend who lived in Paris for 2 years, and he said he used both of those and he didn't have any problems with them. Next, we have La Carte de Coloc. This is another website where you can find roommates. So on this website, usually it's for co-location, so it's not going to be apartments for rent. It's going to be people looking for roommates. So people who might have a room to rent, or a person looking for a roommate who wants to find someone else who's looking to rent a room, and then you guys can find an apartment together. So if you're just looking for roommates and you want to rent a room and not a whole apartment, definitely recommend that website. And then lastly, we have Le Bon Coin. This one is very common as well. This is kind of like Craigslist, but like a slightly better, safer version of Craigslist. It's very similar to Gens de Confiance. They have things for sale, jobs, listings there, rooms for rent, all that. So that is another really common place to find an apartment as well. Next, we'll go over some documents that you will need. So like I have said many times before in my previous videos, and if you are planning to move to France or you live in France now, you know that French administration is a lot and they require lots of paperwork to do pretty much anything, and renting an apartment is no different. So you will need lots of paperwork. For example, if you're a student, you will need a copy of your school certificate to verify that you are a student. If you are employed in France, you will need a copy of your last 3 pay stubs from a French employer. Sometimes they also want like proof that you have money saved. That's something to have as well. You will also need a copy of your French employment contract, so a CDD or a CDI. It is very difficult to get an apartment in France if you don't work for a French company. It doesn't matter if you work for an American company online and you make tons of money and you can prove that you make 3 times the rent, whatever, you have enough money. A lot of landlords will still give you a very hard time because you don't have a French work contract. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Also, you will need a garant, which is a guarantor in English. So someone who can vouch for you, someone who is willing to write a letter and say that if you don't pay your rent, then they will pay your rent on your behalf. So you need a garant, you need a copy of their identification. They need to write a letter saying that they will pay for you in the event you don't pay rent, and they also need to provide their last 3 paychecks as well. Most landlords require your garant to be French, or at minimum be living in France. So this can be very difficult if you're moving here by yourself and you don't know anyone in France who can be your garant. There are websites that you can use like Garant Me, I think it's called. There's also the Garant Visal. I'll leave some links in the description box and on the screen. There's options that you can do if you don't have anyone in France. It might cost you a little bit extra, but there's always options. Next, of course, you need a copy of your ID, so copy of your visa, copy of your passport. And if you've rented in France before, sometimes they want like a statement from your previous landlord. Sometimes they want like tax returns in France showing that you've paid taxes the past 3 cycles in France. They ask for a lot of information. And then you also need a French bank account. So it can be very difficult to get a bank account in France, so that's definitely one of the first things you should do when you get here because you're going to need it for lots of things, and a lot of landlords are hesitant to rent to people who don't have a French bank account, so definitely look into that. So, some tips to avoid scams. There are tons of scams when it comes to renting places, especially in Paris. I remember when I was looking for a place a few months ago online, there's so many scams, and I feel like so many people think, oh, I'm smart, you know, I'll be able to detect if it's a scam or not. But honestly, they are so clever with how they try to get people. So just use common sense. Obviously, don't send money to anyone before you've seen the place, before you've signed the lease. Never send money in advance. If you see a place that looks way bigger in the pictures than it says on the listing, or it looks way too good to be true, like it's a 32 meter squared apartment in the center of the city of Paris, and it's completely furnished, and it's beautiful, and it's only €500 per month. Don't fall for that. It's probably a scam. If you see something and you think it's too good to be true, it most likely is. So don't fall for it. Don't send them your information. Don't send them any money. Just keep looking. You'll find the perfect one for you. My last tip for you guys is don't rush. It can be very tempting when you visit an apartment and you see that there are tons of other people there visiting as well. You might feel pressured, like you have to apply for this apartment and tell the landlord like right away that you want this apartment because you're scared that somebody else will get it and take it from you. But honestly, don't rush. Take your time. There's no application fee here like there is in the States and some other places. So you can apply and send your dossier, your information, to all the apartments that you see. If you like it, send them your dossier. It doesn't cost you anything. Apply to as many apartments as you want, but don't feel pressured to agree to one just because there's lots of other people looking at it. Make sure it's really the right one for you and it's the one you want before you agree to it. All right, y'all, that's it for my tips on apartment hunting. I hope I didn't forget anything. I probably did. If I think of something else, I'll make a part 2. If you guys have any other questions, leave them down below. I'm also in the process of moving back to Paris, so I am apartment hunting in the moment as well. And I got a comment asking me to make a video about different neighborhoods in Paris and like describing each one. So I thought that was a really good idea. So I'm definitely planning on doing that soon. So let me know if you have any other videos that you want to see. I wish you guys the best in your apartment search. I hope you guys find the French apartment of your dreams. And I will see you guys in the next one.